Good afternoon and welcome to full match commentary of Burnley against Chelsea, coming to you from Turf Moor. A very bright and very cold Turf Moor, but in view, usually when I commentate on this YouTube channel, and I have done for the last 3 years, or broadcast, when I do a sports broadcast, I'm usually pumped up and excited. Today's not one of those days, I'm afraid. There has been some overnight news regarding, first of all, Glenn Hoddle. It's transpired that he had a heart attack yesterday whilst he was appearing on the TV as a pundit, and he's still in a very serious condition, as we all know. Former Chelsea manager, of course, Glenn Hoddle, and of course the tragic helicopter crash involving the Leicester City tie owner. I'm afraid unconfirmed reports have indicated that he was aboard the helicopter, but took off shortly after the game we covered yesterday on the JB Claret YouTube channel involving Leicester and West Ham. So whatever happens at Turf Moor today really does pale into insignificance in actual life, because we're talking about a real tragedy in Leicester, and needless to say, our thoughts and prayers as we look across to the other side of the ground behind the Bob Law stand, where there's terraced houses and the Bronte countryside that surrounds this famous old ground. It's really sad to see. Our thoughts are with the people of those concerned, and of course our thoughts and sympathies are with Leicester City Football Club at this very sad and tragic time. But the show must go on, and we have a match to cover today live on the JB Claret YouTube channel as Craig Paulson leads out both Burnley and Chelsea onto the field. Chelsea unbeaten in this Premier League season so far, but no Eden Hazard in the team. Burnley welcome back Robbie Brady as well, and of course it's Remembrance Sunday. It's Remembrance as well. They're being led out by the Poppy, so we're going to have at least a couple of minutes silence, and the last post being played before the start of the game, and we'll bring you that before the start. A nice welcome for the teams as they come out here. Burnley start the day in 13th, Chelsea start the day in 3rd. Burnley have not beaten Chelsea on home territory in league football since 1983. So this really must be a long overdue opportunity, and the fact that no Hazard is in the side must boost them a little bit, and also the fact that Robbie Brady's returning gives them that extra scope. And a terrific atmosphere as the teams walk out onto the pitch here at Turf Moor, all wearing black armbands of course, and we'll have the minute silence of course and the last post, because it is the nearest Burnley game to Remembrance Sunday. Anyway, before we do all that, we'll check the two teams, of course, as we ought to do. Joe Hart starts in goal for Burnley. He's had a remarkably good season. The same back four as usual: Matt Lilton, James Tarkowski, Ben Mee and Charlie Taylor. Four in the midfield, and it welcomes back alongside Johanberg Gudmundsson, Jack Cork and Stephen Defoe, the left-hand player Robbie Brady, preferred to Aaron Lennon this afternoon. He's not in the 16. I think it's due to injury. Jeff Hindrick will play in behind Sam Vokes, who's just signed a new contract, incidentally, at Turf Moor. On the bench, Heaton, Barnes, Wood, Westwood, Bardsley, Vidra and Long. For Chelsea, they line up as follows, and we will find out how they line up as follows in just a second. The television graphics have gone completely haywire, but I'll read off my notes. So it's Kepa in goal, then it's Azpilicueta, Rudiger, David Luiz and Marcus Alonso across the back. In goal, Kanté and Jorginho, I will predict, will play as the wingers, and then we'll have Willian, Barkley and Pedro playing as attacking midfielders, with Alvaro Morata up front. On the bench for Chelsea, we've got Willa Caballero, the substitute goalkeeper, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Cesc Fabregas, Kovacic, Olivier Giroud, Zabacosta and of course Gary Cahill, who used to play for Burnley, although he played as a loanee many years ago when Burnley were struggling in the lower reaches of the Championship table under Steve Cottrell. But it's a welcome sight for Burnley fans to see Robbie Brady back. Pedro has good memories of this ground. He scored here 2 years ago. In fact, Robbie Brady scored that same day soon after from a magnificent free kick, and it was also his league debut after signing on deadline day in 2017 as well. Ross Barkley seems to have had a new lease of life under Sarri. He really has been the man in form as ever. If you want to leave your tributes to the helicopter crash or comment on the game further, and leave your respects to Glenn Hoddle. Good afternoon, JB from sunny Yorkshire. I'd like to thank you, and I have to say I wasn't aware of the news until we'll talk about the crash later, but we're now going to have we're now going to pay respects with a couple of minutes silence and the last post in those unfortunate members of the armed forces who died in battle over 100 years of war in history. So let's listen and have a minute's silence to those that died in conflict over the last 100 years. Beautifully observed and beautifully remembered, of course. The last post signifying the conflict in wars all over the world over the last 100 years. And after the tragedy of yesterday, which was one of the most... Last night when I did my piece to Camera Live, it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. This has been the toughest weekend I've ever had to do in broadcasting terms, but we have a football match to cover. There are football still to be played. I'm sure the Leicester owners will want it to be that way, and away we go. Our thoughts and prayers are with Glenn Hoddle and with the Brighton fan as well that died as well. So our thoughts and prayers are with everyone, but there is a football match to cover, and Burnley here looking to kickstart their season a bit more with a potential home win against Chelsea. Haven't won on this ground, in fact, against Chelsea since 1983. So maybe a right time to do all this, and Burnley now attacking the cricket field stand away to my right hand side, and it's Tarkowski on to Stephen Defoe, who made his welcome return. Lasted 75 minutes last week against as the cross comes in from Goodmanson against Manchester City. Did okay actually, and despite the fact that Burnley were beaten controversially 5-0 in that game. Cork hits the ball back. Don't forget JB Live. So the Clarets game underway, and let's hope that we can have a good game of football as well. But at the end of the day, in life, it doesn't really matter too much as Wilkes gets an early shot in, charged away. I think the flag had gone up for offside. No, it hadn't. Very hard to tell in this sunlight. It's a beautiful, crisp, sunny afternoon, but it's very, very cold. And here comes the crossing towards the penalty area, dealt with there by David Luiz, the Afro figure. And of course, Panini is doing his own commentary on the other 1:30 game, and we'll try and keep you updated, of course, as much as we can of what's happening, of course, in the game at Selhurst Park. And of course it's the Betfred Cup semi-finals day, and it's Rangers, I think, against Aberdeen in the first match. I think it might Hearts and Celtic, and then it's Aberdeen and Rangers in the second. I'm not sure, but it's I think it's ridiculous. Semi-finals on one day, especially if you're a Aberdeen and Hearts supporter having to travel on a Sunday. It must be very, very difficult. So one has to blame the Scottish football authorities for that. But we've had 2 minutes gone, in the first half here at Turf Moor. It's no goals yet. Chelsea get to get in their stride. Eden Hazard, their top scorer and their inspirational player, out. There was doubts about his fitness. Aaron Leonard's out also, but it's almost a full strength squad, and Robbie Brady now with a free kick. Burnley always record at least one victory every so often against one of the big boys. They did it against Manchester United in 2009. They beat Man City in 2015 as Ben Mee goes up for a header at the back post, and the ball comes out again. This time Gudmundsson takes possession. Gudmundsson just cuts inside. Defoe, how good to see him back in a Burnley shirt now, and Defoe retreats back to his goalkeeper Joe Hart, who, despite shipping him 5 last week, absolutely played out of his skin to keep the score down even to 5-0 against Manchester City. It was that sort of day. They've beaten the two Manchester clubs in the past. 2009 they beat Manchester United on their first home match in the top flight for 33 years. They beat Manchester City in 2015 here. They beat Liverpool here just over 2 years ago. And now can I add Chelsea to the list of potential casualties coming away from Turf Moor. It's going to be very difficult, but you never know. But with Bobby Brady in that team, it must be a real fillip for the Burnley players. Craig Pawson will need to have a good game about him this afternoon. But whatever happens today, the game should really pale into insignificance considering the tragic events of Leicester City. What happened in Leicester yesterday evening, it was very sad to see, and I was almost in tears by the time I'd went to sleep that night. As Defoe takes possession, about 35 from goal, but he's found Gudmundsson on the right. Gudmundsson with a chance here on the right. It comes off the defender, and it's a throw into Burnley, who have started the first half very positively. It's got to be said. 4.5 minutes gone. Burnley 0, Chelsea 0. Burnley making all the early running here in the bitterly cold sunshine here at Turf Moor. Matt Lilton to take the throw in for the Clarets, almost in line with the edge of the Chelsea 6-yard box, and he takes the throw and the ball back to Lilton. Now Henrik to try and flick it on to Lilton, but he can't get it past the defender, and in the end Alonso struggling to get it away. It was under a lot of heavy pressure there from Jeff Henrik in the end. Jack Court takes it inside the centre circle. Burnley starting on the front foot, and it looks as if the Turf Moor fans are up for this one today. And a foul there on Sam Vokes by Antonio Rudiger, and a free kick to Chelsea. Now, one or two of these Chelsea players will not have experienced an atmosphere or a football stadium quite like this one. It's a very traditional football ground. Some of these guys from Chelsea will be used to be playing in all these modern mod-con stadiums, but Turf Moor is one of these old-fashioned stadiums, and that's how it is. It's a different world in Burnley compared to a lot of the big cities in terms of football, but it's a great level for a team like Burnley. As the free kick comes in, Brady to take on the left hand side, but the goalkeeper was in real difficulties there, Kepa, and he got away with it. David Luiz belted it out of play for a throw in halfway inside the Chelsea half. Kepa did not look very sure from that free kick from Brady. He was under no pressure either, Kepa, and he had plenty of time to actually try and catch that, but he failed to do that. That was really poor commentator. I've got you in one ear and the TV commentator in the other. Well, anybody who wants to pay respects as well, we will put the comments about pay your respects to what happened at Leicester. We can't confirm reports that the Leicester owner has been killed, because it's not confirmed. If we do get news on that, we will bring it to you during our live broadcast this afternoon. 6 minutes gone in the Premier League. 1:30 kick-off. It's Burnley 0, Chelsea 0. Also taking place is in South London, of course. It's 0-0 in that game between Arsenal and Crystal Palace, but we'll bring you any any developments from that, as soon as we get any goals that go in from that one, we'll bring it to you live as soon as we can. But at the moment, no goals there and no goals here either. Manchester United and Everton will be at Old Trafford with a 4 o'clock kick-off, and that could be a very, very testing time for Jose Mourinho. Had a bad defeat against Juventus. There's a free kick been given there for a foul by Ben Mee, and it really is going to be tough. But just to talk about Glenn Hoddle for a second, there was also an elderly son that died at Brighton yesterday. It has been a really it's a really sad day for football in the last sort of 24 hours or so. But we're going to try and put a little bit of life into the commentary. At the moment, it's been Burnley mostly. Chelsea haven't laid siege to go. Here's Barkley now inside the centre circle from Williams flick on. We'll keep you posted with any developments. Hearts 0, Celtic 0 is in the Scottish semi-final. Naismith is stretched off after 8 minutes. So Celtic, who are struggling at the moment in the table, around about 4th or 5th place in the Scottish Premiership against the leaders, Hearts, but it's at Hampden Park in the League Cup semi-final. But at the moment, the ball back towards Joe Hart. Hart kicks away. Any reaction from the helicopter crash or from Crystal Palace, we will bring you we'll bring you news of that and confirmation of that. At the moment, it's 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Arsenal, but any goals that go in, we will let you know. Luiz has been penalised, however, back in this game. The game we're covering, Burnley and Chelsea. Burnley having on the far side. Brady playing the ball into the penalty area, looking for Jeff Henrik. Chelsea again with a very poor clearance. Alonso to try and mop up the danger, and in fact Burnley concede the throw-in anyway. But I think Burnley have got a little bit of zest and energy in their step, and I don't think Chelsea are fancying this sneakily enough this afternoon. As Sari takes notes, to the right of him there's Gianfranco Zola, a real Chelsea legend. And of course, I'm surprised hopefully N'Golo Kante will try and do something good for his old teammates at Leicester. Of course, he was of course a big part of that Leicester side, of course, that won the Premier League in 2016, odds of 5,000 to 1, and I'm sure it would have affected him, the news from there last night. But we'll try and get a good game in here. But any news on the scenes at Leicester and Crystal Palace Arsenal, we will bring it to you live. And of course, Glenn Hoddle suffered a near fatal heart attack last night or yesterday afternoon at BT Sport, and but he's in a stable condition, I believe, but it's still a serious condition. But anyway, back to the football, and it's 10 minutes gone. Chelsea yet to really get into their stride at all against a really tough to beat Clarets side, and really Burnley have to do what Brighton did yesterday and really go back to basics and really pen Chelsea in. If they can do that, they've got a chance of a victory. And Russ Burnham has confirmed that Glenn Hoddle did suffer an heart attack, and he's responding well. The good news is he is responding well to treatment. So Ross confirming what I've just said there. It's this sunny afternoon at Turf Moor. It is very, very sunny. It's the kick away from Joe Hart. The Burnley fans in very, very spirited mood here this afternoon. Chelsea have brought something like 2,000 or 3,000 up from West London. Here's David Luiz now, 10 yards outside his own penalty area, tries to thread the ball across the deck, and he does so. He finds Pedro, looking to find William, but his pass has been cut out. Now Alonso has it on the near side for Chelsea. 0-0 is the score with 11 minutes, almost the clock ticking up towards 11.5 minutes. We've nearly hit that mark now. Here's Luiz, just trots to halfway. Now Alonso has it. Back to William, just stroking it around here, Chelsea, but Burnley have got all 11 men behind the ball from halfway towards their own goal. Running and playing it forward. Kantig now to the far side. Big opportunity here for Chelsea. Burnley have to be on their mettle here defensively. And Kante gets the ball into the penalty area. William hits the ball back. Then Barkley strikes it, and a very good save indeed from Joe Hart. It might have got a side deflection, that effort. And Joe Hart had to stretch a little bit there to get across and make an absolutely extraordinary good save. The ball was headed a ball back, and it was Barkley. He hit it into the ground. It may have been a slight deflection as he hit that. Yes, it was. I think Morata headed it on, and Joe Hart was very quick to react there in the Burnley goals. Really good save that was. Fantastic save. Chelsea get on with the corner. Ball played into the penalty area, and that's going to run to Johan Gudmundsson, or rather James Tarkowski, I should say. It's very difficult to see properly with this very low sun in Lancashire. Really nice weather here, but very, very cold, I can tell you now. We're now into Greenwich Mean Time, of course. British summertime ended last night, and at the moment there's a good even feel to the game, and a big chance there, but a draw wouldn't be a worse result for the Clarets. There are at least 4 or 5 worse teams in form or out of form than Burnley at the moment, namely Fulham, Cardiff, Newcastle, Southampton, West Ham amongst others, although they were right up against it yesterday in that game at the King Power. A real second half flurry for Leicester really did pay off in the end when they got something out of the game. They should have really got 3 points off in hindsight, but after what happened after the game, it didn't really matter too much really in the grand scheme of things. Here's Pedro now for Chelsea, who are playing in yellow today. Yellow shirts, yellow shorts and blue stockings. This is Pedro once again. Burnley, of course, I don't really need to tell you, that are in claret and blue shirts, white shorts and white stockings themselves. William has it now, just midway inside the Burnley half. Flops it out to the far side, and it's the captain, Cesar Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta has got Kante over on the far side, and then the ball back in field there to number 5 Jorginho, and Kante knocks it back. Runninger now takes possession back in the Chelsea half. He trots towards halfway line, plays the ball to Barkley. Barkley on towards Azpilicueta. Chelsea now having quite a bit of possession now. Burnley having to be patient here. They've just got to do the basics right today, the Clarets, and they may well get something here today. They've got to do what Brighton did against Wolves in essence yesterday, and really try and get something and just wait for their chances and buy for their chances. They have to be patient today, Burnley. Gudmundsson now back to Lilton, and now back to Joe Hart rather. Tom Heaton is amongst the substitutes, incidentally, and has been linked with a move according to newspaper talk. How accurate it is I don't know, but Bristol City are reportedly interested in trying to get him back to Ashton Gate, where he played a season in 2012-13. Here's Tarkowski again, on to Lilton. Lilton again, back to Tarkowski, still midway inside the Burnley half, and Tarkowski surely was fouled by Alvaro Morata, and it was a 3-kick. Referee Craig Pawson from Yorkshire gives the decision, and it's a good decision as well. Craig Pawson incidentally was the referee when Burnley beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in August last year. Here's Cork, hits a diagonal ball to the right hand side, and it's Gudmundsson into Lilton. Lilton again losing his man, and he's found Cork again. And Burnley now just looking to be patient. It's a game of cat and mouse. Cork was surely fouled there. Started his career incidentally at Chelsea, Jack Cork, and the free kick has been taken quickly. The referee's allowed it to go. Here's Gudmundsson now for Burnley. Lilton now will hook across in. Kepa now, it's a real test for him, considering he's not under great pressure. And Brady knocks the ball back across the goal and hits it just an inch or two wide of the right hand post. But once again, Kepa does not look comfortable on crosses at all. That's twice he's been asked the question. Firstly by Brady from the left, and now Lilton from the right. And both times he has not delivered. Went for a ball that I don't think he needed to come for, and in the end he got away with it. Lilton put in a fantastically good cross, and he was all over the place, the Chelsea keeper. And that's one weakness that I think Burnley will aim to exploit here this afternoon. That the goalkeeper is not watertight. and he's not comfortable or good on crosses at all. And Joseph Live, you will be taken off. We do not invite links on this channel. As William goes for glory, and he finds a very good save from Joe Hart. Hit it right-footed, and the goalkeeper was equal to that. Really good save. We don't know how safe that website is, so I would not recommend you go on it, because we don't know how unsafe that site is. If you want to listen to a football match safe without being hacked or giving out credit card details or scammers or people scamming, stick with us here on the YouTube channel. Yes, we don't show moving pictures, but we will paint you the picture the best we can, and you will be taken off, and I'll make sure that personally, unless Russ... I just need to remind everybody that anyone that tries to leave links on this game, and I've said it yesterday and I'll say it again here today, you are playing a very dangerous game with our channel, because we have 6 moderators on the chat, and at least 2 or 3 of them can be on at any one time. So you are running the risk, while leaving links to the game, on our chat facility. So please, as Joe Hart takes the ball there from Tarkowski's pass back, header back, please do not try to. Russ Burnham says that it's 0-0 between Palace and Arsenal. Palace at the moment holding the Gunners, who are looking to hit 13 straight wins. They made it 12 in midweek with a win in the Europa League, thanks to my least favourite player in the whole wide world, Danny Welbeck, scoring the goal. I still don't think he's good enough to play for England. Palace, in fact, are playing well in that game, I'm told. I will watch a rerun of the match later on. And of course, match of the day 2, featuring all 3 big Premier League games as well. We'll try and keep you up to date with what's happening between Hearts and Celtic in the first of the 2 Scottish League Cup semi-finals, the Betfred Cup, of course. 0-0 last we heard from Hampden Park. Here's Gudmundsson now for Burnley. Back in towards Lawton, gets it back again. And Burnley just have to stay and do the basics, and they do the basics right. They've got every chance in the world of potentially creating a bit of an upset here this afternoon. They've won a 3 kick. David Luiz shoved Sam Bolks in the back there, just to the right of the centre circle, and it's going to be a free kick about 5 yards in from the right hand touchline, about 10 yards inside the Burnley half. They've gone on with it quickly. Now it's all of a sudden gone to the left hand side while we were watching a replay of the foul by David Luiz, and Burnley really haven't made too much inroads with that 3 kick. Here's Lawton. The idea, I think, is to try and slow the pace down and try and run Chelsea ragged. I think that's the way they want to play it. As Gudmundsson tries to break down that side, he's going to take on Alonso, and he's beaten Alonso on the ball back, and Luiz caused almost his goalkeeper problems. Bolks was in on the scene. He wants a corner. The referee's not going to give it, or the linesman's not going to give it. It's a goal kick to Chelsea. Let's have a look at it again on the replay. I didn't really see it properly, but Alonso found wanting there one-on-one with Gudmundsson down that near side. The ball played in, and in fact did the goalkeeper of Volks get the touch last. I'm just watching it from a reverse angle here. Gudmundsson, great work. Hard to tell, really. Hard to tell. I think the referee decided to err on the side of caution and give a goal kick, but it was very hard to say whether it would have been a goal kick or a corner, but the referee had to make one or the other decision in the end. Every Burnley fan's disappointment, he gave a Chelsea goal kick, and here's William now cutting in from the left hand side. William shoots, he hits the base of the post, hits the base of the right hand post, and Chelsea have fired a warning shot at that Burnley goal, and that could have easily been 1-0 Chelsea. William got in behind the defence that was completely non-existent down the Burnley right, got him around the left hand side. He hit a wonderful ball across the face. Joe Hart didn't have a chance, and Burnley was saved by the right hand post of Joe Hart. Joe Hart's goal, and it remains 0-0, but Chelsea have hit the post, and William, I have to say, was quite unfortunate there. It was good football again. Lawton maybe they're just a little bit too casual there in his defending, and in the end it could have easily ended up being a really bad moment there for Burnley, but they were saved by their post. 21 minutes and a half minutes gone, and here come Chelsea again with Nkante and Barkley. Morata's further forward. This is Alvaro Morata. He's in the goal. He hits it under Joe Hart, and it's into the back of the net. Chelsea take the lead after just 23 minutes. Alvaro Morata strikes for the West London club, and Burnley now have to come from behind, and that is a disappointing moment for Burnley, really. But you've got to say, lovely football here. Barkley, lovely weighted ball, and in the end it was a terrific finish. There was no doubt about it. Although I'm hearing that as we just see that goal again from Morata, it was a beautiful toe poke, it has to be said, low down. No chance for Joe Hart, incidentally. Morata enjoyed that one. It's a shame for Burnley because they were playing really well up until that point, and to add insult to a little bit of injury there, apparently the commentator has now said that the commentator said that Vokes had got the final touch, so that's a body blow for Burnley, that. But not sure how much that would have affected things, really, in terms of the overall aspect of it. And we have moving pictures again, by the way. So Burnley 0, Chelsea 1, I'm afraid, is the scoreline. And it's a corner now to the Clarets, looking to hit back straight away, and it's over the top from Tarkowski from 6 yards out, and it's over the crossbar for a goal kick. But Burnley responding very positively to going a goal down. The cross coming in from the far side, it was Brady's ball in. But remember 2 years ago, just to give a little bit of positivity to all Burnley fans out there, Burnley trailed 1-0 to a first half goal around about that time from Pedro, and then they came back very, very strongly towards the death of the first half. So anything can happen. We've seen that happen before in football. So we can't be too downhearted about conceding the first goal this afternoon. We've got one or two technical problems with the footage at the moment, so we're going to have to bear with us on that one. But at the moment we're having one or two technical hitches, but hopefully we're back live with you now. As Nkante now plays it up towards the far side. It is 1-0. Tattoo Terrier says hello to you. It was really harrowing scenes last night. In case you were wondering, unconfirmed reports that the Thai owner of Leicester City has died in a helicopter crash. I should also stress at this point, it is unconfirmed, but we'll bring you any latest news as soon as we get it from that, and I'll bring you a little bit more during the half-time interval when we've had a 5 to 10 minute break during the half-time of this live match. Burnley 0, Chelsea 1, a goal after 22 minutes from Alvaro Morata, separating the two teams. But Burnley not disgracing themselves in any way, shape or form. They've had chances, and the one positive that we can draw on is the fact that goalkeeper Kepa so far this afternoon has been very, very culpable on crosses and very cumbersome, so that could still work in Burnley's favour. It's 0-0 in the other 1:30 match in the Premier League between Crystal Palace and Arsenal at Selhurst Park. Arsenal going for 13 wins going for 13 wins on the bounce, but they're being held at the moment at Selhurst Park. Here's William for Chelsea. William running towards the penalty area from the left hand side. William having the freedom, and there's the shot. It took a wicked deflection off Tarkowski's head, and it will be a corner to Chelsea, which William now trots over to the far side to take. And Chelsea now starting to get a grip on things here, which is quite ominous, really. Good football here. Had to get the shot in, and Tarkowski got a good block in to deal with that. Burnley 0, Chelsea 1. It's the scoreline at the turf. It's Chelsea's second corner of the game. But Burnley must draw on what they had, what happened last season when they trailed Chelsea and trailed Manchester City here, but then came back very strongly. So they had to stay in the game. It was certainly at least until half time, even at 1-0 down. If they can still stay in the game, second half, I've got a feeling they'll come out and try and use the atmosphere of the turf to their advantage, and they have to, really. I think that's one aspect, and one positive aspect they have to use. Burnley 1, Chelsea 1 is the scoreline, and at the moment Chelsea just passing the ball about with terrific and considerable ease as the ball is floated towards the left hand side. William winning the header. Goodmanson was nowhere to be seen. Alonso now takes possession, 10 yards inside his own half, infield to David Luiz. It's a long 50-yard diagonal ball forward, but Jack Cork wins possession now. Burnley just need to get a foot on the ball, and Cork rather carelessly loses it. Maybe tried to take on one player too many as he tried to go towards halfway, but he lost it around about just shy of halfway and still inside his own half. Much more annoyingly, as Alonso now plays towards Kante. Kante again gets the ball back. Willian now, it's just triangle passes here from Chelsea, and the referee's had to stop something. There's something that's gone on off the ball that we didn't see, or there's some sort of injury or complaint, and it's involving Pedro here, and it looks as if Pedro's injured, so I think they're going to have to sub him off. I think it's a big blow for Chelsea, that, and looks as if we're going to see, I think it might be Zabacosta here. Pedro is not happy. The Burnley fans are incensed by this, and it looks as if Chelsea are being forced into a change. That's good news. And indeed, it's going to be number 12, in fact, it's Ruben Loftus-Cheek that's going to come on. The man who hit the hat-trick in Europe this weekend, during the week. And he's now come off, and Pedro has gone off. I don't know what the injury is all about. It looks a very strange one. Could be his shoulder, actually, because he's wearing like a brace there on his shoulder. Well, it gives an opportunity for Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Chelsea temporarily playing with 10 men whilst Loftus-Cheek gets ready for action. I can confirm what Russ is saying. He's bringing us up to date with the latest score from the game at Selhurst, and two big opportunities for Arsenal, and Bellerin and Lacazette have fired shots towards the Palace goal. One's gone wide and one's been blocked, and it remains 0-0 in that game. Any goals we will let you know from myself or from Russ, who's a good colleague of mine, and he broke the news obviously about what happened at Leicester last night, and my thanks to him for that. Meanwhile, Lee Mason, the fourth official, who incidentally was the fourth official yesterday at the King Power, takes control of the situation. So Pedro has now gone off. I think it might have been the shoulder injury that he sustained, so there was a 50-50 chance, but Loftus-Cheek is now on for him, and here's Kepa, the Chelsea goalkeeper, who has looked a little bit unsure today from crosses, free kicks and crosses that have been pumped in from left and right flanks by Matt Lowton and Robbie Brady respectively, as William takes possession, finds Ross Barkley, Robert Jorginho. Ross Barkley, incidentally, seems to be having a new lease of life at Chelsea these days. Never used by Antonio Conte. He was injured for quite some time, the former Everton player. But at the moment, I don't know what's happening in Scotland. It was 0-0 last we heard, but we'll try and get some updates now from you. We know that Morata's scored for Chelsea. That's the only goal in all the league games at the moment, so 0-0 at the moment. Let's see what's been going on elsewhere. Obviously up in Scotland. And of course we'll try and bring you some latest on the developments at Leicester in the Scottish League Cup semi-final. Naismith and Kuzasi are now off injured, so this is not looking good. We've got Hearts player now off injured in the Scottish League Cup semi-final, so having plenty of unfortunate injuries up at Hampden Park in that first semi-final. What's been build up there was Super Sunday, because they're playing two matches they're playing both semi-finals in one day. They're playing this game now, and then at tea time, Rangers and Aberdeen will face off in the second semi-final. Rangers, who are doing tremendously well in Europe so far. Steven Gerrard's starting to get things going a little bit at Rangers now at the moment, and a good way to start your footballing education, I think, at a club like Rangers. So Graham Souness started his management career when he came back from Italy in '86. Ran the club from top to bottom, and it brought the first few titles up to 9 in a row up there, when they had the likes of Haitley, Durant, McCoy, Gorham, Chris Woods. And of course, going back to his earlier days, he had people other players like Davy Cooper as well, and all those type of people. It's amazing to see, but at the moment it's still no score at the moment in this 1-0 to Chelsea in this Premier League encounter. I was getting confused there with the two other 0-0s that are taking place in England and Scotland at the moment. Here's Robin Loftus-Cheek on the left hand side. That's come on for Pedro. Pedro's gone off with an injury. I think it might have been a recurrence of the shoulder injury. He was wearing some kind of brace, I think, around him. I don't know. I'm not an expert on injuries, but on medical stuff for sure. But at the moment, 0-0 in the other games in the Scottish semi-final, Scottish League Cup semi-final, and of course the game at Selhurst. So here we have a goal. Unfortunately, it's not gone Burnley's way. Tarkowski as well is a little bit mad that Morata went down a little easily there. Craig Pawson just needs to referee this rather sensibly now. The last thing we want to see is diving and cheating. We saw a prime example of diving by Kamara from Fulham yesterday, and it was a complete, utter, ridiculous thing for him to do. Trying to seize onto a bad clearance by Begovic. Begovic came to meet him, and Begovic pulled out, and Kamara made himself look a right donkey doing that sort of thing. It was a horrible thing to watch. Here's Willian now on the right hand side. He's switched from right to left, or switched to right from left. There's Barkley now midway inside the Burnley half. Out to Jorginho now. A chance here for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who got the hat-trick, of course, in the Europa League in midweek at Stamford Bridge against Bate Borisov, I think that's how they pronounced them, in the Europa League, and a competition that arguably, due to poor refereeing decisions, if them decisions in Athens had not happened, Burnley would be in that competition, but still playing off against the likes of AC Milan and Real Betis, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately, and it still strikes a little bit of an annoyance with me that the way that European tour ended because of the referee in the first leg. Not so much Victor Kasai as the ball played back to Kepa, and Kepa's kick was not the best, but it fell very kindly for Alonso. 35 minutes gone here. Burnley 0, Chelsea 1 in the Premier League from Turf Moor. Chelsea, remember, unbeaten so far this season in all games. We've covered them several times, myself and Chris Whiteman, and we've been impressed with the way they do play football. No Eden Hazard, which was a great disappointment for Chelsea and for any neutrals watching, but for Burnley fans, I was quite secretly happy, because we know what sort of damage Eden Hazard can cause on his day, which has been quite a lot recently, as the ball is nipped in there towards the penalty area. Again, dealt with by Burnley. They just need to get a foot on the ball and just try and get themselves out of trouble here. It's been pinned back a little bit here. This is Jack Cork now on the left hand side. Cork trying to get the bounce of the ball, and he's got it through, and off a Chelsea player, and out for a throw in. I think N'Golo Kante, whose mind no doubt will have been with the Leicester public yesterday after that terrible accident. And today, whatever happens, the result really does pale into insignificance compared to what's been happening over the last 24 hours in the world of football and life as well. There was that mass shooting in America as well at a christening ceremony. That was a terrible tragedy as well. That's a tragedy, conceding an own goal is not a tragedy, and it does annoy me when some commentators refer to an own goal or scoring an own goal or a mistake in a big game as a tragedy. It's not a tragedy, it's a mistake, but it's not a tragedy. People do get the misconception about the meaning of the word tragedy. 36 minutes gone here at Turf Moor. Burnley 1-0 down, but not far from out of this game by any stretch. A point would still be a good result if they could get it. Kepa again under no pressure there, made an absolute, well, maybe Burnley needed to double up in trying to close the goalkeeper down there. And I think that's one or two weaknesses I think Burnley do need to exploit. But here's Alonso bombing down the left-hand side. He's got a chance here for Morata inside the area. Morata shoots, and he shoots wide. He should have scored there, Navarro Morata. There's no doubt about that. Having got into the position here, it's a terrific run, I have to say, from Marcos Alonso. Bombs down the left, cuts inside. He could have used Loftus-Cheek as well. Played it into Morata, took on Ben Mee, he beat him. But it must have been Tarkowski getting back at the last second that may have put him off a little bit, but it was a much more of an easier chance than the one he took. Although he had to work hard for that last chance. And this is what cost him really last season, really. Did score against Burnley in the game at Stamford Bridge last season when Burnley won 3-2. He scored one of the goals in a 3-2 loss. Chelsea, in fact, in that game where had Gary Cahill sent off in that match, and I think David Luiz also got sent off, if my memory serves me right. No, I don't think it was David Luiz. No, it wasn't. It was Cesc Fabregas, in fact. It's just come to my head now. 38 minutes gone then at Turf Moor. Burnley have a free kick just over the halfway line. Robbie Brady to take it. That wand of a right foot. Or wand of a left foot, rather, I should say. He's a left-footed player by trade, Robbie Brady. Great set-piece specialist. Chelsea will not have been best pleased to hear him in the starting lineup this afternoon. Now, what can Brady provide here? Burnley 0, Chelsea 1, coming up to 39 minutes. Brady trots forward, hits this left-footed from the left-hand side. Again, a difficult one for Kepa, but this time he's up to the challenge. Catches it, goes through the crowd, and takes the ball comfortably. Burnley 0, Chelsea 1 is the scoreline at Stamford Bridge. But Burnley still hanging in there, and they've got to hang in there. If they can get in 1-0 down at the break, they still have a chance in the second half. Remember last season against Manchester City, they were being out-fought and trailed at half-time to a goal from Danilo for Manchester City. And they came back and plugged away at that Manchester City defence, and in the end got a reward of an equaliser. Here's Loftus-Cheek, who can't keep it in on the left-hand side, and it's out for a goal kick. And Burnley will be attacking the Jimmy McIlroy end in the second half. They like to attack the McIlroy end a lot of the time in the second half, as we just see that chance again from Morata. I think that was a much easier chance than the one he took, actually, because he'd done all the hard work twisting and turning Ben Mee inside out, but in the end it wasn't to be, as Joe Hart kicks away right-footed over the halfway line. 4 attempts for Burnley, 7 to Chelsea. Burnley yet to register a shot on target. Chelsea have, however, registered 3. Shot that was saved quite magnificently from Joe Hart by Morata, a header that was on target, and 1 or 2 others. And of course Willian had a shot that was saved by Hart as well, and of course Morata's goal. But Pedro's been substituted due to injury, and on comes Loftus-Cheek in his place. Still 0-0 in the game, I believe, between Crystal Palace and Arsenal, but I'm sure Russ will bring us up to date. He is watching that match with us, for us, and he will be bringing you up to date, and I'll confirm it as well in the commentary. But 0-0, of course, in Scotland as we go into the last 5 minutes of the first half. Kante round the corner towards Hazard, and as the little chip comes in there, Morata has stayed onside. Morata shoots, and it's a terrific save. A terrific save from Joe Hart. It really was. It looked as if it was 2-0 all the way then. Although Burnley might much argue that the linesman should have put his flag up. He did look suspiciously offside to me. There was a huge hint of offside against Alvaro Morata as that ball was played in. Let's have a look. Chip forward. Oh, he's offside by an absolute half a yard then. There would have been an absolute, well, it would have been absolute pandemonium if he had scored, because Burnley were felt absolutely aggrieved by that. Morata was at least half a yard offside as that ball was played, and that is that would have been a devastating blow then. And considering the injustices that we had to endure last week at Manchester City, that would have been another injustice really to Burnley again today. That was a tremendous insult not to flag there. The linesman should be doing an awful lot better. Here's Willian now for Chelsea. No doubt they've deserved the goal they've got, and Morata is onside again according to the linesman. Morata goes in, and what a good tackle that was. What a fantastic tackle, and Morata's going for it. Morata was trying to square up to Lowton, and you don't do that. Matt Lowton, he's not one of those sort of players. Morata really went for it, and he totally lost his bearings, and he was looking for a penalty, in my opinion. There was nothing wrong at all with that challenge from Matt Lowton. None whatsoever. Morata is going to be booked for, I wouldn't be diving, and that's a good decision. However, a yellow card has been shown. Has he shown it to a Burnley player? Let's have a look at it again. It's Morata running in. Well, there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's Tarkowski there, and well, I don't know what Tarkowski does wrong. Morata's conned him into being booked there. Morata deserves to get booked for me, but there's no way in the world Tarkowski should have got a booking, because he did absolutely nothing wrong. The referee should have just booked Morata and got on with the game. As it is, it's a corner to Chelsea, away by Robbie Brady, with 2 minutes of the first half remaining. Well, it has kicked off a little bit now in the last couple of minutes. Well, Kante kept that in. He's found Jorginho, and he's found Aspilicueta, and now Rudiger. Ball back towards the goalkeeper. That's Thibaut. Well, I can't understand why Tarkowski's got a book in there. Tarkowski, I can understand his incensed, but I don't think he pushed anybody there. As Jack Cork breaks in the area. Cork, can he keep his feet? He goes down under no pressure. He tripped over the ball, and that just sums up Burnley's luck in at the moment. Really, his momentum really. He gets into the great position here, and then just stupidly trips over the ball. But Burnley have wasted a few opportunities here today. Here's Morata now, who's not very popular in these parts, that's for sure. Morata finds Willian now. Willian towards the edge of the area. He looks promising. He goes down, and the referee is going to book him for diving. He's going to book him for diving. What a good decision from Craig Pawson. What an unbelievably good decision from Craig Pawson. Just for one moment I thought he was going to point to the spot, but out came the yellow card very quickly. And let's have a look. Yes, good decision. There's no doubt he's looking for that at all. That is one of the most stupidest things Willian could have done. He could have beat Lawton and absolutely whipped him inside out. Instead, he tried to do what Kamara did for Fulham, and that's two unbelievably poor pieces of simulation. They call it simulation, I call it cheating and diving personally. It was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. When you look at the way that he's tried to con the referee there, and full marks to the referee Craig Pawson. He didn't fall for any of Williams' contricks there. It was a really good piece of refereeing, and you've got to give Mr. Pawson a little bit of credit there. And there you are. There's a rarity. Me praising a referee, but he was right. 2 added minutes at the end of the first half, for which we've had 30 seconds of, and it's Burnley 0, Chelsea 1 at the moment, and it's still close. It's still nothing to choose between the two teams. Just Morata's goal, but he's been booked for diving, and so too has Willian as well. As Ben Mee comes forward now for the Clarets and concedes a throw. We've got 1 minute of the 2 remaining, but I'm liking the last couple of minutes. The referee has done really well. That's not a good news from Selhurst Park. It's Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 0, I'm afraid. Not a good result for Burnley, that is. Could move a little bit further down the table. That's going to be a goal kick to the Clarets. Boy, we could do with a penalty at some point this season. Everybody else seems to be getting penalties all over the league, but well, us. As Joe Hart takes the kick. Arsenal in a bit of trouble then at Selhurst Park. But I would still expect Arsenal to come scoring back in the second half. That's a game that Panini incidentally is covering, I believe. That's why we're not sitting on the stream this afternoon, as Joe Hart will take the kick. We've got about 10 seconds to go before the interval. Can Burnley... I don't think Burnley are going to get an equaliser right in the end. So Miljevic has scored for Palace. That's a bad blow that for Burnley, considering that that could move Palace ahead of us in the league table. Half time though is gone there at here at Turf Moor. Burnley trail to a goal after 22 minutes. A well taken goal, it has to be said, by Morata, who's now stalking the referee, and if he's if he's not careful, him and William, they both could get the red card. And Craig Pawson really giving them warnings now. Any more lips, sunshine, and you'll be off the field. William is absolutely incensed, but I think the referee was right to give a dive there. And Sean Dyche talking tactics with Stephen Defoe there as they walk off. But it's a big team talk now for Burnley. They trail at half time, but the positive note that we can take from it is they're not out of the game by any stretch of the imagination. That is for sure. Palace winning 1-0 at the moment. We're going to take a 10-minute break here at Turf Moor. And if there's any latest, of course, on the incident at Leicester yesterday, the terrible tragedy at Leicester, we will bring it to you and confirm it. But at half-time here in the game here at Turf Moor, Burnley 0, Chelsea 1 is the half-time situation. And we'll take a 10-minute break. And we'll be back with full, uninterrupted second-half commentary live in a few minutes' time. Welcome back to Turf Moor for the second half of the Burnley game against Chelsea. Chelsea winning by a goal to nil, scored by Navarro Morata. William has also been booked earlier on in for diving. Just looking at one or two of his stats there, but it's still very cold, but still very cold, not a good day for the Clarets. But coupled with the fact that Palace are winning, we don't know how the penalty came about. 1-0 against Arsenal, which is not a good result for Burnley as things stand. So Burnley really need to. They didn't really play that badly in the first half in the main. Just a little bit naivety in defending. Then let Morata through a couple of times, which wasn't great. But they're still in the game at 1-0, and that's the positive that we have to take as we look towards the Bronte Hills of Burnley, surrounded by the old terraced houses. It's almost a scene from Coronation Street here. I'm proud to come from those parts. It's always good to see as Kepa's going through his last minute preparations. He didn't have a particularly good first half. He went for 3 crosses and flapped at 2 of them. We're just waiting for both teams to come out as he goes through his paces with the goalkeeping coach. Burnley running out to great cheers from the Turf Ball crowd. Can they find something a little bit extra in the second half? Maybe they should switch it a little bit. Maybe take Jeff Henrick on and put Ashley Barnes on. That would be ideal. Or play Mattia Vidra. I still don't understand Sean Archer's logic to a certain extent. Why would you keep Vidra on the bench when you know he's a potent threat? Doesn't matter what division you're in, he can score goals. William very lucky not that he's been sent off when he was arguing with the referee. I don't think there was much doubt about it. When he looks back at the replay, I think he'll realise that I think the referee was quite correct to book him for diving. It was just I mean, any Tom Richard and Harry will tell you that a dive is a dive. He went in with the intentions of trying to con the referee, and the referee wasn't having any of it. And I've got to say, full marks to Craig Pawson there. He made a fantastic decision, but it still doesn't help the scoreline in this case. Burnley 0, Chelsea 1 is the half-time score. Sean Dyche wants more urgency maybe from the Clarets in the second half. Still no further details about the tragic helicopter crash at Leicester yesterday, and as I said at the start, and I'll say it again, our thoughts go to those concerned. Of course, there was an elderly Brighton fan who died sadly yesterday, and of course we have Glenn Hoddle in hospital as well. His former side Chelsea get us underway. All thoughts are with all those concerned. So whatever happens today, football's really irrelevant in terms of the overall aspect of life. And here's Goodmanson now on the ball for Burnley. We still have a second half to commentate on. It's been the most difficult last 3 broadcasts of my entire YouTube commentary career. We commentated on a real thriller at the King Power before the tragedy of that helicopter crash outside the King Power. There's been quite a number of there's been a big shrine outside the King Power. I've been looking out on social media during the half-time interval while we were off the air, while we were turned off the mic. And of course you can pay your respects to Glenn Hoddle and to the people that may have perished. We can't confirm anything for definite, but any confirmation we will let you know during the broadcast tonight or this afternoon. We're coming off the air at around about, nothing's happening now, we'll be coming off the air around about 3:30 this afternoon. Free kick given, I think it's against Jack Cork, to the great disappointment of the crowd. Looks something or nothing to me. Chelsea get the decision and lead by a goal to 0, and Kepa now the Chelsea keeper in an all fluorescent orange goalkeeping kit, gets the ball forward, and now running it now. Chelsea wearing the yellow shirts, the yellow shorts and blue stockings. Burnley, I need, I tell you, in claret and blue shirts, white shorts and white stockings, and they nearly need to pick up the pace of the game in the second half. I'm surprised Dyche hasn't switched anything around in the second half. If I would have been Sean Dyche, I would have been tempted to switch it and go 2 up top and really make it difficult for Chelsea to break 2 banks of 4 down. There's a Chelsea player gone down, injured, and it looks like Rudiger. He has a yellow card being brandished. Jeff Henrik has got to watch his step. Let's have a look what happened. We went in there. Well, yeah, we absolutely took him out there, I have to say. I'm afraid Jeff Henrik, there's no case to answer. So it remains 1-0 to Chelsea. Jeff Henrik now becomes the second claret in the book. And the ball back to Kepa. 1-0 to Chelsea. The goal after 22 minutes by Navarro Morata, who later was booked. Of course, also his colleague William was booked for trying to con the referee to give him a penalty, which was never going to be a penalty. Here's Robbie Brady. Nice to see him return to the fold at Turf Moor after all that time out with injury. He picked up the injury a year ago at the King Power, strangely enough, against Leicester City when they lost by 1-0. Here's the 4 now to the far side, and it's Gunnarsson now, the captain, it's Ben Mee, the captain, rather. It looks like they're all wearing black armbands, of course, and of course they just paid their respects to the war dead. They paid their respects to the tragic event at Leicester as Folks goes up for the cross from Gunnarsson. That's a little bit better from Burnley. Ball hooked away once again. As Folks now goes on the chase, and David Luiz hooks that out for a throw-in. As we come up towards 3.5 minutes gone in the second half, 3 3/4 minutes gone in the second half. Burnley 0, Chelsea 1. But just one flash of moment of pure genius from Burnley as the ball drops on the stand and almost takes Matt Lurton with it. And the other ball that dropped down onto the stand, onto the pitch, is back off the pitch. Ray wanted it retaken again because the ball was thrown into play when the other ball was still on the pitch and hadn't stopped stationary. As Burnley yield a throw-in level with the area of Chelsea on the far side, the right-hand side. Lilton, full marks to him there for persistence. And Lilton again has it on the right-hand side. Cross deflects it deflects again, and it's a corner. A corner to Burnley. Now this could be an opportunity here for them to exploit our frailness in the Chelsea defence. Kepa, of course, we all know has been suspect already this afternoon on crosses and already in the first half. Are we going to see an equaliser? We've played nearly 5 minutes of the second half, and what an opportunity this is now. Can the delivery be good enough? Corner comes in from the far side. Again, Chelsea had enough numbers back, and here goes William now down the left hand side, the far side as we look. And Burnley trying to get numbers back. Taylor trying to keep as much tabs with him as he possibly can. And it's infield again, and a chance here for Barkley on the edge of the area. Barkley has the shot, it was charged down. Chelsea now looking to kill the game off potentially now. Azpilicueta back to N'Golo Kante, but his attempted ball forward was charged down. It will be a Chelsea throw-in, however. And so Azpilicueta goes across to take the throw-in. 1-0 they lead. 22nd minute goal from Alvaro Morata, and a goal kick it is to Burnley. Taylor shepherding the ball out and doing a terrific job there. Kevin says Clarets need a bit more zing up front. I have to agree. Maybe it's time for Sean Dyche to make some substitutions, maybe. I mean, now's not the time and the place to start criticising folk left, right and centre, considering what has happened in the last 24 hours, but one has to tell Sean Dyche he needs to make changes, because obviously the one up top does not work, and especially at home you need to be a bit more bold and really gamble a bit more, and I do think he needs to do that. Now, the referee has brought the game to a halt. Well, Burnley had good possession. Now, I don't know why he stopped it. Must have been a foul, and I don't think it must have been a foul on a Burnley player. It has to be. Oh, he's giving it the other way. He's giving it to Chelsea. I don't understand why. Well, that seems a very odd decision there from the referee there, Mr. Pawson. It really does. Very, very strange decision indeed. I couldn't really tell because of the sunlight beaming down on the pitch. But from where I was sitting, there didn't seem to be anything untoward, and then the referee had to stop it. I don't know whether it was an offside that we didn't spot, or the ball is back with the goalkeeper. The referees will blow up for just about anything these days, I'm afraid. It's the problem with modern refereeing. Just can't seem to... They'll just blow up for the least bit of a thing. I don't want Craig Pawson to banish his copybook by making some very, very naff decisions in the second half. He was very, very good on the not being conned there by Willian, who was attempting to cheat. Goodmanson looked as if he was had a fistful of shirt there from Alonso. 1-0 Burnley trail, but it's still anybody's game for the taking, and Burnley now must be positive. They must try and attack Chelsea here in the second half. They've got to go for broke here. Here's Goodmanson running at his man. Goodmanson, good ball towards the penalty area. Now, real chance here for Burnley. Work it out to the left hand side, and Robbie Brady. Brady cuts in well. Brady will shoot left foot. I think he got a deflection. It has to be a corner, surely. It has to be a corner, surely. It did look as if he got a deflection, and it is a corner because Jack Corky's coming forward. Brady's in there. Goodmanson's going to take it. Can Burnley get the equaliser? They've yielded the third corner. Goodmanson with his left foot. Into the penalty area it goes. Kepa didn't get a good purchase on it. Burnley's keeping it alive inside that penalty area. And in fact, a referee is blown for an infringement and a free kick to Chelsea. There's been another goal at Selhurst, and I can tell you it's gone to, well, Russ Vernon could tell you there, then it's gone to Granit Xhaka of Arsenal. So Palace's joy, short-lived. That's good news for the Clarets, incidentally, that. Palace 1, Arsenal 0. Granit Xhaka with the equaliser after 52 minutes. Incidentally, Burnley play West Ham next Saturday, and no Mark Noble, which is going to be a blow for West Ham, that. All things considered. So their inspirational captain out of the game at the London Stadium next weekend, which is quite a good thing for them. And they've got 2 away games on the spin. They've got Liverpool at Anfield in a couple of weeks' time as well. I don't think we're going to get any points from that one, to be quite honest with you. And that's not me trying to be disgracious in any way. It's just reality, the way that Jurgen Klopp played. And Kevin's not happy, obviously. It's no disrespect to Kevin, who's a very good contributor to this channel, but at the moment, as a Burnley fan, we have to look at the bigger picture, and at the moment the bigger picture is it's a great bit of news for Burnley. Arsenal levelling the game up there at Selhurst. 54 minutes gone here at the turf. It's Burnley 0, Chelsea 1 here in the Premier League, and the programme had to be completed this weekend despite everything so sad that happened. The Glenn Hoddle heart attack, the tragedy at Leicester City, and the Brighton fan dying at the Amex yesterday. Football has to carry on regardless in these events and these sad events, but what it does do, all those events yesterday, it really puts life and even football in perspective. Here's Lillian crossing in, and a header over the top from Morata inside the 6-yard area. Should have really done better with that. It was a lovely ball in from the left hand side by Willian, and the ball pulled back, and Morata should score there. Poor defending again from the Clarets. William allowed to get in there between 2 defenders, and then Ben Mee, I don't know what he was doing there. He was certainly ball watching as that was hooked in, and Morata should have made it 2 there. That was a gilt-edged chance for the Chelsea players to make it safe, but Burnley still fighting in this game, looking to try and get anything out of this game. So here comes Kante over Chelsea. This looks onerous again as Barkley goes charging forward, hits a good shot, it's gone in the corner. It's 2-0 to Chelsea, and it's Ross Barkley with his right foot. Burnley have got it all to do. They have to go 2 up top now if they're going to try and save at least a point. There was no chance in the world for Joe Hart. It was a magnificent shot from about 25 yards out, and it's a sorry state of affairs, it has to be said, here at Turf Moor for Burnley. Burnley 0, Chelsea 2, Ross Barkley the scorer. It really was a good shot, but again, did the Clarets make the fatal error of backing off and backing off. I think they might have done here. There was nobody around Ross Barkley within a 5-yard radius, and sometimes players need a less than 5 yards, really. It was a cracking goal, don't get me wrong, but really poor defending from all the Burnley back four, including James Tarkowski. They just didn't come to him enough, or quickly enough for me, and that's disappointing. That's absolutely disappointing. Burnley have lost their defensive discipline again, and 2-0 to Chelsea. And Sean Dyche now needs to start making changes, and quick, because they cannot leave it for too long here now. As Vokes tries to get it on towards Jeff Henrik, who's been a complete liability again, it has to be said. Why does that? I don't want to start going on my high horse again, because there's lots more important things to talk about than Burnley's 2-0 down. But why does Dyche insist on playing Jeff Henrik in that number 10 role when he's clearly not good enough in that area? Burnley are reacting. Who's coming on, I do not know. Looks as if it's going to be Chris Wood now. What sort of change is that? You need somebody like Matthias Vidra and Ashley Barnes, not Chris Wood. I'm sorry, Sean, but that's the wrong substitute. Here's Joe Hart with the clearance. One ball forward again. Now a chance for Burnley. Goodmanson, who's not tried to stop running all day. Goodmanson, and there's a little bit of after David Luiz probably went down a little bit too easily over on the far side there. Oh, that was poor. That was poor from David Luiz. He threw the ball nonchalantly at the Burnley player. Now that, to me, should result in a booking, and the linesman saw that and needs to communicate with the referee, because that was pathetic, and this is pathetic, because Wood has come off on for Vokes, and they're still trying to play this silly one up front malarkey. You're 2-0 down in a game, and what is Sean Dyche playing at? You have to change to 4-4-2. This cannot go on forever, and they just don't listen. Sean Dyche is not listening to what the supporters want. It should not be that way. 2-0 down at home, you're playing one up top, and you're playing one of the worst strikers in Chris Wood. I'm afraid Chris Wood is not good enough for Burnley Football Club. Offside, predictably, against Chris Wood, and that was his opening exchange of the first since coming on. That's poor from Sean Dyche, it has to be said. You're 2-0 down. You know, you need 2 goals to get back in this game. What you do, you take off one striker and put him on another and keep it at one up top, and you keep Jeff Henrik, who's been poor again today. And in the number 10 role, it's just unbelievable. Aubameyang has scored for Arsenal, but there's a little bit of controversy in that one, because they looked at a handball by Alexander Lacazette in the build-up to that goal. Meanwhile, Goodmanson trying to get Burnley back in this game. They're 2-0 down to Chelsea. You can't argue with finishes from Morata or Ross Barkley for that matter. They were superb goals. And here go Loftus-Cheek, and he's over the halfway line. It's Ruben Loftus-Cheek now for Chelsea. He's been fouled there, and a free kick and a yellow card again. This time I think it's Robbie Brady who chopped him down. Free kick. Let's have a look at him again. It's a good break. Brady's there. Well, it's a free kick. I don't think it's a yellow card offence, but I think referee Pawson there could have erred on the side of caution a little bit there, but yet he doesn't book. David Luiz for throwing the ball at quite deliberately at Goodmanson over on the far side. Sounds to me as if it's one law for one and another for another. An hour gone, Burnley 0, Chelsea 2, and Sean Dyche has made a substitution, but I'm afraid it's a negative type of substitution, because it's still the same type of forward he's got, and that's the problem. You've got Matthias Vidra on the bench who could do a job. You put him on for Jeff Henrik, and your problem solved. The man will bag goals in that number 10 row, and Sean Dyche just doesn't see that, or doesn't want to see that. And I find that very hard to understand. Here's Henrik. Here's William from the throw-in. Gets it back again. Chelsea now looking in very commanding control here, I'm afraid. Here's Morata now. First touch was a little bit dodgy. The ball breaks again. Clarets Match Live here. It must be one of my hardest broadcasts ever to do, considering the events of yesterday, to get up and try and commentate on a football match which under the bigger picture is a complete irrelevance to what's been happening at Leicester. There's been more controversy at Crystal Palace. The second goal apparently wasn't over the line, but surely the goal line technology was brought in to clear up controversies like that. We'll have to look at that on a rerun later as Willian runs forward, hits the shot, and it's gone right into the right hand corner, and I'm sorry to say, folks, it's game, set and match. Willian gets the third, and it's rather embarrassing now. Burnley 0, Chelsea 3. It's been an embarrassing day for Burnley. After the first 15 minutes, they just absolutely backed off, and I have to say, Sean Dyche really needs to look at himself here. Tactically, we've got it absolutely wrong, and don't think they've learnt the lessons on that second goal, have they? Because he gets the ball here, and watch him here. They back off, and there's nobody within a 5-yard radius, and again, and that's all a player of Williams' undoubted quality needs to finish the job off. It's just unbelievable. It's a great shot. Joe Hart's got no chance, but this really is pathetic from Burnley. They just let him go through. It was just ridiculously easy. Burnley 0, Chelsea 3. Good finish again from Chelsea. Their finishing has been white hot today. You can't argue with that. But Burnley really have to have a look at themselves, because quite frankly they've been second favourites from the 20th minute onwards. There's another Chelsea player down on the floor. Matt Lawton involved again. Alonso involved. How much? Well, he's booked him there. Well, why don't you book David Luiz then? Well, it's Goodmanson on the ball. The ball comes away. Alonso. Well, that's not a foul. That's not a foul on bloody from Alonso. That is not a foul. Not even a foul, let alone a booking. Alonso's conned the referee. Alonso, in my opinion, has conned the referee. Alonso is a cheat. He's conned the referee and has got Goodmanson a very harsh booking, in my opinion. But yet you have somebody like David Luiz who throws the ball away, and that's against FIFA laws, and yet he doesn't book him. I find that baffling. I really do find that baffling. Taking nothing away from Chelsea, because they have been absolutely superb, and well, that just shows the contempt Sean Dyche has got. They're going 2 up front when it's too late. It should have been happened 10 minutes ago. Should have happened 10 minutes sooner, and then we might not have been 3-0 down. It's not good enough, I'm afraid, and there will be questions asked. There's no doubt about that, but it's not a disaster in the bigger picture, obviously, for obvious reasons yesterday, and we have to take that into account. But I'm afraid Burnley, again, Sean Dyche, again tactically, is proving inept again. At the time now, he's made 2 substitutions, and by the time he's made those substitutions, the damage has been done. Here's Kanté now for Chelsea, and he's found Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek cuts inside. Good football here from the man who got the hat-trick. Shot blocked, and it comes to Kanté, and that shot is blocked, and Loftus-Cheek again, and again it's blocked. And Burnley are in absolute disarray and chaos here. Goodness me, Chelsea here, well, it may as well have just been practically a case of Chelsea just turning up here, rowing up at Stamford Bridge, and just winning quite easily. That's the way it's probably going to look now. Burnley are being embarrassed. It has to be said, and it kills me to say it as a Burnley fan, but well, Defoe wanting to get on with it straight away. Burnley need to get on with it now because they've 25 minutes. But is it far too late for them to launch a comeback? At the moment, they're just shy to go forward. They're just going back. Take a chance. Go forward. You've got 2 up front now. What's the point? You're 3-0 down. Go and lose the game by trying to be bold. There's nothing. I'm afraid Sean Dyche has been rather too cautious. Burnley have a throw-in. Brady to take it. Burnley need to get forward. They need to go forward. Me now for Burnley. 3-0 down, and it's been an absolute pathetic performance from Burnley. And it just tells in the number of passes made, 264 to 560 in Chelsea's favour. Sean Dyche needs to get his head out of the clouds. This cautious football is just not working. And there will be questions asked. It will be interesting to see on social media, but we can't ignore the bigger picture that Chelsea deserved to win. And of course there's also that tragedy at Leicester as well, what we have to consider. This has been the most difficult commentary broadcast I've ever had to do here on YouTube. I don't feel any anger, I don't feel any upset that Burnley are losing, because it's not a tragedy. So a defeat, an avoidable one perhaps in terms of the goals that we've shipped, but we need to be more bolder. That looks, oh dear me, that looks a very tough decision there. Offside again. Was he offside? If he was, it was brainless from Chris Wood, it's got to be said. Let's have a look. He's level, he's level, he's level, he's level. The linesman's got it wrong. The linesman has got it wrong. Absolute disgraceful. It looked onside. Once again, big club bias comes into the equation once again. That did not look offside from where I was sitting, and I'm afraid it's been a poor second half display, not just from the Clarets but from the far side official, who really needs to have a good long look at the mirror, quite honestly. Burnley win the ball back now. Wood to Brady. Brady now. Can Burnley at least try and recover at least a bit of pride from this performance? Because it's been shocking this second half. It really has been shocking. Brady has to watch himself because he's on a yellow card, and the last thing we want to see happen is Brady sent off the field. Here's Ben Mee now chipping one in. Burnley must throw men forward. They have to throw caution to the winds. They've just been far too cautious. William has been penalised for hands, and remember, he's on a yellow card. I'm surprised he hasn't given a yellow there against him for deliberate handball. He has to get his wits about him here, the referee, and refereeing according to the laws of the game and not how he sees fit. There are rules and regulations that the referees just do not adhere to these days. Free kick, Defoe and Goodmanson over the free kick, and it's Goodmanson from the right hand side. Can Burnley get one back? Doesn't look as if there's going to be a way through at the moment for the Clarets, and it's Kante now breaking out for Chelsea. Back inside to Loftus-Cheek. Back in field once again. Burnley 0, Chelsea 3. It's been an embarrassing this afternoon as well. And Ross agrees with me, it wasn't offside, but at the end of the day, is it going to just be academic, that decision? Because the damage really, in reality, has been done. And Sean Dyche again will have to take a lot of criticism again for tactics and the use of substitutions at key moments in games. He doesn't go to 4-4-2. Should have changed it at half time for me. Burnley have conceded the throw into Charlie Taylor's frustration. I can understand the Burnley fans' frustration here. It's been a first half, really. It's been a match really to forget. 15 minutes into the first half, we were superb, and then we let Chelsea take over. We started playing that going back into our old show again and hold habits died. We just needed to do basics right, and we haven't done the fundamentals again. And I tell you what, we're going to have a really tough examination at West Ham next week, because we need 3 points from that game now, and we have to not play in our show. That is for sure. And I think Sean Dyche has been far too cautious here. But how well he's done, I just feel that he's been far too cautious. 2-0 to Celtic. And I've got to tell you, Celtic, in my opinion, do not deserve to be in any final at all. They are a disgrace of a football team in that league. They have ruined Scottish football. Sinclair and Forest have scored their goals, but they're a disgrace to Scottish football. Corkin's gone down injured. So too is Ross Barkley. Who fouled who? That'll be the question mark here. Jack Cork looks as if he's come off the worst, and that's another blow for Burnley. That really is another blow. Cork sent flying there. Ali Beatty, the physiotherapist down there. I've no respect to Celtic Football Club. They were the team, in my opinion, that got Rangers relegated all those years ago and demoted, and ruined Scottish football forever. In my opinion, all the trophies they win by default these days. They don't earn them. They're trying to run everything in Scotland, and I don't like that, and I don't appreciate Celtic Football Club for that. Meanwhile, back in England, it's still 2-1 to Arsenal, 3-0 to Chelsea here. My view, Cork fouled Barkley. I don't know. Cork's come off the worst anyway. But let's hope the referee doesn't spoil things here and send the Burnley man off. He is one of the players that were booked. And Alvaro Morata again needs to shut his mouth, quite frankly. We're going to see another Burnley substitution here. Ashley Westwood about to enter a fray. He's a very dependable player, Ashley Westwood. He doesn't let anyone down when he turns out for Burnley. He does try his best. He does wear his heart on the sleeve. I have to say, Jack Cork, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but he's been one of the negative ones today, I'm afraid. He hasn't played with any great deal of positivity. They were going to bring on Vidra as well, which is a shame now, because they're having to make that enforced change. So it's going to have to be Westwood rather than Vidra, and Vidra will be frustrated, but I'm sure we'll have a little bit of sympathy for Jack Cork as he trundles off the field. In a collision that was unfortunately unavoidable with Ross Barkley. I haven't seen the replay of the incident yet. I know Russ has made the suggestion that Cork did foul Barkley as Morata hugs Olivier Giroud as he about to enters the fray. I wonder who's coming off. It is in fact Alvaro Morata, would you believe? So Morata straight away grabs his training top and runs straight for the tunnel area. I don't think he could wait to get off, quite honestly. So he's running down past the Chelsea fans, and I'm sure you'll get the bird from one or two of the Burnley fans as he walks off the field. So Burnley now 3-0 down, 73.5 minutes gone here at Turf Moor. They need 3 goals in something like 16.5 minutes here, the Clarets. It is one of the most tallest orders I can ever imagine has been in at this point. Ryan Christie has scored for Celtic, who are a very fake Scottish side. They're not a good team. They are a disgrace to Scottish football. They're 3 up against Hearts, and I wonder how much they've bought the referee in that game as well. I have a lot of contempt for Celtic. They are not a good side. They just win the league by default because they got Rangers relegated to the bottom tier of Scottish football because of what happened with them. Rangers should not have been punished that way, and I blame 100%. I hold Celtic Football Club 100% what went wrong in Scottish football. Not Rangers, Celtic. And my views on that will not change, I'm afraid. So I might upset a few Celtic fans in the process, but they're not a good club. They're not a gracious club. They're not a club really that's not gracious enough. You know, they take hatred too far in Glasgow. It really is ridiculous. Here goes Lawton now for the Clarets, looking to try and hit one back, and it's another poor ball right behind the Burnley attack now. They've got to push men forward, the Clarets. It may be all being a lost cause now for them. It may be too little too late, but have a go. Play football. Try and play Chelsea at their own game. This is Taylor now with a crossing from the left hand side. Headed back by Louise. Kepa was a little bit unsure. Running at bailed him out of the trouble as Brady crosses in from the left hand side. Wood winning the header. Chris Wood has been absolutely pathetic this season for Burnley. He's only scored 2 goals, one against Aberdeen and another one I think in Europe as well. Hasn't scored in the league as far as I can tell. But I'm afraid it's not. I'm afraid we should have bought a pacey striker, and I don't think that's just what the fans wanted in the window. But then again, you've got to look at the board and say, are they to blame? And of course, this is. I know. Let's be fair. Results like today are not going to define our season, but it doesn't help. But it's the manner in which we've lost today which sort of annoys me the most. You know. Obviously in the bigger picture it's not a tragedy, because you know we have to look at the bigger picture on a weekend like this, and we can't ignore what went on yesterday, all those tragic events. But taking all the emotions out of it and you look at it objectively from a Burnley point of view, the summer there's an attitude in the football club and a mental attitude that needs to change. Whether it's at board level, whether it's at managerial level or at playing level, something in and around that football club stinks. And I know exactly who to blame, and I've been saying this for so many months now. It's Mike Garlick. The way he runs that football club, he runs it as if it's his own crown jewels, and he won't give Dyche the money to go out and get the players that we need. And here we are, absolutely being outclassed again by Chelsea. There's the shot coming in, and just wide from Giroud with his left foot from just over 20 yards out, just to the left of the D. Could have easily been 4 there. And this is the problem. Chelsea, again, cutting Burnley apart here. It's sad to watch this, really. It really is. Joe Hart wouldn't have had a chance if he'd have been on target, there's no doubt about that. It would have been a surefire goal from the French World Cup winner. Didn't score for France in the World Cup, incidentally, and we're going to see another substitution. It's going to see Cesc Fabregas about to replace Jorginho. It must not be a bad moment for Chelsea when they can bring on players the quality of Olivier Giroud and obviously Cesc Fabregas. But there are certain people in the Burnley Football Club that need to be rolling heads today. They forced a corner here, the Clarets. They may well, if they can show something now in the last 12 minutes for stoppage time, the criticism may not be so bad. But really there has to be questions asked of the management at board level and at playing level as the ball comes into the penalty area. Headed out only as far as Lowton. Lowton out to the far side. Gudmundsson to try again. Gets the cross in there. Chelsea have enough numbers back to deal with the pressure. Still Burnley on the attack. Good news to see though Robbie Brady back. A real positive for Burnley today. Brady trying to skin his man, and he's used some great skills there, but Fabregas teamed up on him. Burnley get a throw in. Or do they? They've conceded a free kick, I think. Oh dear. It's not been Burnley's day, has it? It really hasn't. Today is not the day to rant on and rave about the and get annoyed by the Burnley performance. As disappointing it has been, today is not the time and the place to ask questions. Maybe tomorrow afternoon might be the more appropriate time when the dust settles down and Kepa again gets himself into all sorts of bother with Ashley Barnes, and Kepa made that for himself. Barnes had every right to try and close that down, and if he's given a free kick Porton, then I'm afraid he's absolutely wrong. Kepa made it for himself, and Barnes had every right, and he got the ball and it came off Kepa. I'm afraid the referee's got that one wrong. Kepa rolls around 8 times, cons the ref. It's absolutely pathetic. Chelsea worthy winners, I've no doubts about that, but their gamesmanship and their ability to cheat and con the referee has been laid bare for all to see. I'm sorry, but Kepa fooled the ref there. That was never ever a free kick. And I think Ashley Barnes had every single right to go for that ball. He had every right to win that ball, which he did. The ball certainly deflected last off the Chelsea keeper, and in my opinion, that should have been a Burnley corner. That was poor from the officials. In fact, I think he has given a goal kick, but I thought it should have been a corner. But I'm afraid he's trying to make a meal of it, I'm afraid. And that's the only downside. That's the only thing I'm annoyed with Chelsea with. That they didn't have to go and try and dive and out cheat. Because their football, more often than not, has done the talking this afternoon. And then obviously Burnley's defensive lack of discipline has cost them again. And Burnley, the way they've lined up, they've gone cautiously. They've gone one up front again. It isn't working, and Sean Dyche is absolutely ignoring everybody and his dog that support the football club. I would have gone 4-4-2 today for a game like this. Have a go. You've got an opportunity to win a football match in sight, and you've blown it big time. We've blown it big time. Here's Willian now. He could have easily been sent off at half time for arguing with the referee. He dived to come the referee, which he didn't. And as a result, he scored the third goal. But how easy did Burnley make it for Barkley and William to score their goals? It was almost child's play, really, for them. We're inside the last 9 minutes. It's 3-0 to Chelsea. There's no sign of them letting up here at the moment. Well, Clarets Match Live, and it's been another sad day, I'm afraid. Burnley 0, Chelsea 3 at Turf Moor. As the Clarets edging towards another bad defeat. 2 games now they've played, potentially with an aggregate score of 0-8, albeit against 2 bigger teams, but still should be doing an awful lot better. They conceded 5 last week against Manchester City, another 3 today against Chelsea. It's not looking good, I'm afraid, in Burnley's viewpoint. And Wood again, why on earth does he keep getting caught offside? The man is a disgrace. He needs to be sold, and we need a better striker than Chris Wood at the football club. And I say that with all due respect to everybody at Leeds. They must be absolutely crowing about this now. They sold Chris Wood for £15 million. He's had 1 good season, and now he's made look to me an absolute mug. He's not good enough for Burnley Football Club, I have to say. His goal ratio, his statistics will tell you that. And our strike force is just not good enough. We need to invest in January by hook or by crook. If we're out the bottom 3 by then, boy, are we going to need a few. Transfers. But it's not looking good for Burnley at the moment. It's a very bad day for Burnley. Not a tragic day at the office, but a bad day all round. Really has been a sorry and very, very disjointed display from the Clarets. They were good for the first 15-20 minutes, I'll say that, but from then on in, Chelsea took over and they were the far better team. I think every man and his dog will have to say that, and even the most hardened to Burnley fans, including myself, will have to concede that Chelsea have been far, far superior. It's been an absolute mismatch today, I'm afraid. Burnley have just not turned up. They haven't wanted to play. Sean Dyche's tactics have been negative again. The one up top just simply does not work, and Sean Dyche just ignores everybody's concerns about it. Does he not care? Does he not care about wanting to stay in the Premier League? Does he not care about wanting to be bold? You look at the way Chelsea are dominating now. Burnley are just letting them come on and come on. And it's just making it ridiculously easy here for Willian. And when he cuts inside, plays the ball into the penalty area, Tarkowski hooks it out for a throw-in level with the Burnley penalty area. Burnley 0, Chelsea 3. We've got about just over 5.25 minutes to go plus stoppage time, and hopefully not too much more stoppage time. A couple of minutes, please, Lee Mason, and we can have another day of misery put out of our heads today. Coming up at 4 o'clock, it's Everton against Manchester United at Old Trafford. It's still 2-1 to Crystal Palace, I believe. 2-1 to Arsenal, I believe, at Selhurst. But there has been a lot of controversy. But it's still, that's the only good news that Burnley can take heart from, because the fact that Palace, who are directly below us in the Premiership table, have lost or are losing at the moment. Here's Kante now running at the Burnley defence, and Kante again into Giroud. A chance here for number 4, and he's hit the side netting. In fact, it was Ruben Loftus-Cheek who hit it with the right foot, and he hits it into the side netting. Oh my goodness, and it's 2-2. That's not good. They've had 2 penalties, and I'd like to know how bad those decisions were. That's not good news coming from Selhurst Park. It really isn't. Palace awarded 2 penalties against Arsenal. That's not a good sign. And now another bad sign here. Tarkowski is struggling. This news from Burnley is getting worse and worse and worse. Ali Beattie having to work overtime here in this remaining few days. This is a very poor day at the office. And Sean Dyche's future has to be now a debate for discussion, because this performance today was shocking. It was pathetic, and Burnley have just simply not tried this afternoon. The goals were easy. The first one was so easy for Morata. It was Charles play. The second one, the Burnley back four just backed off Barkley, and his 20-yard left-footed daisy cutter was just too good for Joe Hart. And the third one, they just didn't learn their lessons. Tactically, he's been inept today, Sean Dyche. Tactically, he's got it wrong. The formation should have been changed at half-time for me. That's what's gone wrong today. You can't blame Chelsea's finishing. Their Chelsea finishing was good, and you've got to applaud Sarri and his backroom staff for that. They do look the real deal this season. Having seen them now a couple of times in league football this season, they do look a real deal and a real challenger to Manchester City and Liverpool for the Premier League this season. They have to be taken as serious title contenders. Here's Goodmanson now trying to work some magic. Goodmanson's shot, and that was the best moment, I have to tell you, in the second half, or the whole second half for Burnley, and that was the best chance we've fashioned all match. Left foot shot by Goodmanson, and yet it still goes a couple of yards over the crossbar, and that sums up the fact that Burnley are 3-0 down and playing without any due care and attention, no confidence. And what's the linesman giving here? He hasn't given offside, has he? What's he giving here? He can't have given offside for that, surely. It can't be against Goodmanson. I find that amazing. One or two of the decisions in the second half I found very, very strange. The linesman just needs to get a grip over it. El Clasico was kicked off a little bit earlier than really used to be. It used to kick off around about 7 o'clock at night on a Sunday, but at the moment Barcelona and Real Madrid certainly not having it all their way in the Spanish league at the moment. It's at the Nou Camp, I believe. Barcelona against Real Madrid. This is Ashley Barnes. Real chance here for Ashley to try and cause one or two Chelsea defenders the footers of two, and Brady first touch a little bit heavy, and that was enough for the ball to go into touch, I'm afraid, and a goal kick to Chelsea. It's just been a very poor and disjointed Burnley display today, and there has to be serious questions asked of the manager, how he's setting up the team, what is the mental attitude of these players. Are they being forced to be negative? There's certainly a lot of negative tactics going on here. Sean Dyche has to be asked these questions afterwards. And look at this possession, it just tells its own story. 28% Burnley, 72% Chelsea. Here's Willian on the left hand side, runs past the defenders if he didn't exist, the ball in, and across came Charlie Taylor virtually on his line, on the goal line to clear off the line. But Chelsea still going here with Alonso. 3-0 up, and a lot of empty seats I can see on the Bob Wall stand. They've given up the ghost. Gave the ghost up quite a while ago now by the looks of it. As the yellow shirts come swarming forward again, but Ben Mee's there to intercept for Burnley. It's a bit late now to start playing like that at 3-0 down, and again the ball runs out of play, but there's just no cohesion, there's no positivity there. The stuffing has really been knocked out, and 4 added minutes, I don't know where the 4 added minutes has come from. 2 or 3 would have just to confirm the agony, but 4 extra minutes and more shameful agony here for Burnley to endure here. Personally, I would rather just want the whistle to go now and just get the game over with. We've played 30 seconds of the 4 added minutes. I still can't understand where Lee Mason has got that time from, but 3-0 it is to Chelsea, and it's Asper-Quetta on the right. He crosses into the penalty area. The heads go up, and a good save. In fact, it might have come off the crossbar. It was Giroud's header inside the 6-yard area. Should have made it 4 there in reality, and it wouldn't have flattered Chelsea if it had gone in, to be quite honest with you. Here's Kante now as Chelsea look to go for the kill and get a 4th one. Here's Loftus-Cheek. The shot deflects, and behind for a Chelsea corner. Joe Hart must have tipped that onto the bar from Olivier Giroud. It must have done. The lovely cross from Asper-Quetta, and yes, he did. He flicked it onto the crossbar. That's a fantastic save by the former England number 1. That's a great save. It won't matter in terms of the result or where the destiny of the points are going, but it was still a very good save, one of the saves of the season, and Joe Hart there made an absolute screaming save, worth watching on Match of the Day 2 later on tonight. Here's William with the corner from the right hand side. The ball is 3. David Luiz inside the area. Luiz, who can hit a surefire shot. The ball back and the ball breaks, and that is 4 now. Giroud will Loftus-Cheek will get the goal this time, and it's an embarrassment for Burnley. And what a great day, what a great week it has been for Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He got a hat-trick against Bate Pottersov in midweek, and now he's scored another one at the turf this afternoon, and it's an embarrassment for Burnley. It doesn't, and I have to tell you now, in all honesty, and I hate to say this being a Burnley fan, but this result does not flatter Chelsea in the slightest. They absolutely, truly and utterly deserve this, and it's been an embarrassment for Burnley in this second half. It's going to end possibly now Burnley 0, Chelsea 4, and it is a complete and utter embarrassment. It really is. What more needs to be said than that? Sean Dyche will be needs to be absolutely criticised for this. The way the players have played, there's no positive attitude. There's no. It's just been an absolute disgrace from start to finish from Burnley. Apart from the first 10 minutes where we had a goal, we just seem to crawl back into our old shell, into our old stupid bad habits. And in the end, there's no arguing with this scoreline. 4-0, and I'm afraid Sean Dyche has to be asked very, very, very difficult questions after the game by interviewers, because this Burnley performance has been shoddy, it's been negative, it's been very one-dimensional, tactically inept, defensively unsound and unstable and poor, and Chelsea have just taken full advantage of it. 30 seconds just under to go. In fact, we got 20 seconds of the 4 at the end, and here's Giroud trying to make it 5 on the volley, but he hits it well wide, but I think that will be that anyway. It won't matter too much, but it's been an absolute horror show from Burnley this second half. 4 unnecessary goals shipped, but you've got to say Chelsea, statistically and unbalanced play, have been the more superior and the more better side, and credit must go to their manager Sarri for that. I'm very disappointed. Claret summing up here this afternoon. Sean Dyche needs to really launch a big rocket into the players, and maybe somebody needs to launch a rocket into the boardroom as well, because the whole attitude of Burnley Football Club at the moment stinks right now from the top down. It has to now, maybe under the circumstances, is not the time to start blaming people at this stage. Chelsea were comfortable winners in the end. Goals from Morata, Willian, Barkley and Loftus-Cheek were the massive difference, but it wasn't just the scoreline. Burnley were outfought, outpassed and outplayed in every single department, and nobody will argue with 4-0, I don't think, even the most hardened of Burnley supporters like I am. Now, maybe under the circumstances, what happened the day before today isn't the right time to start asking questions about the attitude of the Burnley club, but I will be making a YouTube video tomorrow, and I will be asking complete questions about the attitude of the players, the attitude of the manager, the attitude of the board, and there's certainly an element of the board that needs to be blamed for what's happening here at the moment. The stadium is emptied very quickly. Palace 2, Arsenal 2 is currently the scoreline at Selhurst Park. Celtic, the disgrace of Scottish football, are 3-0 up in their semi-final. I don't like Celtic at the moment. They're everything I despise as a football club, the way they operate, winning leagues by default and stuff like that. The Palace games finished at full time, but everything is irrelevant, to be honest with you. We still haven't had confirmation of whether the Leicester City owner was on board. Glenn Hoddle seems to be good. We haven't had any. Now the news is that the Leicester City chairman Victoria Palmer, I don't know how you pronounce his name, I do apologise if the pronunciation is wrong. Apparently, according to sources, we can't confirm it at this stage, he was in the helicopter when it came down around 8:30 last night. Kasper Schmeichel apparently ran out of the ground towards the scene. There were supposed to be 4 other people on board with the owner of Leicester City, but nothing I can confirm at this stage is concrete at the moment. But I'm sure if you stay close to Sky News or BBC News or ITV News, you'll get confirmation from that. But we cannot confirm anything at this moment. But it has been a sad day in Leicester. It's been a terrible day for Burnley. Not a tragic day. It's only a defeat. We've lost 3 points, but in the cold light of day, it's not worth hitting under the circumstances. It's not worth complaining about today. Maybe we can discuss the future of Sean Dyche and the way the board have been operating and the attitude of the players tomorrow evening, when the dust settles down a little bit and everything goes into overdrive. But now is not the right time or the place to start moaning and groaning, because there are people elsewhere tonight that are involved. The Leicester fans and the players are devastated by what's happened at the King Power. We've had a Brighton fan die at the Amex yesterday when Brighton had beaten Wolves by 1-0. Glenn Hoddle is fighting for his life in hospital, but he's reacted well to treatment. Let's hope Glenn does pull through. But I've got to be honest with you, as disappointed and as angry as I am at the way the Burnley players and the management were very, very bad attitude today, and the way they played, it was a disgrace. But from a personal point of view, as a commentator's point of view, the last 2 days have been the most horrendous I've ever had to face in doing commentaries and videos on YouTube. Yesterday I commentated on a fantastic match between 2 sides that were going for the jugular. West Ham battling to stay in the game with 10 men, Leicester going for it. They got their equaliser. There was pandemonium when I came off the microphone soon after the final whistle at the KP yesterday. An hour and a half later, I'm alerted by Russ that there had been an accident involving a helicopter, and it was believed, nothing's been confirmed, it was believed that the Leicester City owner was on board. I did a video last night live reacting to the news. I cried after that, because I'd been sort of directly involved in commentating on the match, although I wasn't there. I was doing the game off tube. And today I had to carry on and do commentary on a really poor Burnley performance. It's been a really sad weekend for me, not just to watch my team disintegrate into a 4-0 defeat, but to commentate on something yesterday which ended up a day for Leicester which should have been celebrated with a point, in the end turned to tragedy, potential tragedy, because it's very much feared, although unconfirmed, that the Leicester owner may have been killed along with 4 other people in that helicopter crash yesterday. Well, it has been a long weekend for me. I'm now going to go away now, come off the mic, put the microphone and the headphones down, and just absolutely take my mind off things now for the next sort of day or so, because after the weekend I've had, I deserve a lie down, and I deserve just to take my mind away from things, because it has been the most difficult 2 days of my YouTube commentating life. I've been doing these commentaries now for 3 years, and we've always done it with a smile, and we've always done it with banter, and we've always done it with a laugh as well. It's always been well received, but today is not one of those days. This weekend has not been one of those weekends where we could do that properly. It has been a sombre day for the sport of football. It has been a sombre day overall in this country. First of all, the heart attack of Glenn Hoddle. Thankfully he's still receiving treatment and he's reacting well to it, but he's still not out the woods yet. And the sad scenes, and of course the elderly gentleman dying at Brighton yesterday, that was also a sad sight. And then to cap it all off, a tragic weekend, the sad tragedy of the Leicester City helicopter crash. Puts things like today, Burnley's defeat today and Chelsea's win today, into real perspective. And really we have to look at life like that. It's not just about the winning and losing, it's about life and death. I agree with a lot what Bill Shankly said, but I don't agree with one of his statements. He said football was more important than life and death. No, I don't agree with that statement. You can never put football on the winning or losing of football matches above anything that is life and death. And that's my conclusion. I come to it. Burnley were a disgrace today, there's no doubt about it. We were negative, we were boring, we were one-dimensional, and we made it very, very easy for Chelsea today. But today is not the time for me to start picking holes in what's gone wrong at Turf Moor in the last few weeks, or in the first quarter of the season. It's not for me to start blaming people at the moment, whether my manager's culpable, whether Mike Garlett's culpable, or whether the players are culpable. After the incidents of yesterday, it's just not the time or the place to start doing that, and I think that needs to be respected. But Burnley, it's been a very bad day for Burnley. Not tragic, but a bad day for Burnley. They were beaten, outfought, outclassed by a Chelsea side who have to be title contenders. I hope you very much understand my attitude towards the game today. It was very hard for me to get myself up to commentate on the full 90 minutes today, considering what had happened the day before. I hope you've enjoyed the action today. It's not been a great day for Burnley, but as I say, the tragedy at Leicester yesterday just pales everything that's happened today into complete insignificance. Burnley 0, Chelsea 4 is a full-time score here, and that's it from this broadcast. All I'll say is anything that happens in the league today, or whatever happens up anywhere in the world today, whoever wins or whoever loses, it just pales into insignificance. Any opinions I may have had of Celtic, I do take a little bit back, but I'm upset and angry at the way things have happened the last 2 days. It's been a very difficult time to broadcast when I was commentating on a match where unfortunately ended in tragedy for 4 or 5 people who were at the King Power yesterday. So please accept my apologies to anybody who might have been listening from Celtic, but it's been a black day for football, not just in this country but around the world. Burnley have lost today, but in perspective, our thoughts and prayers go with Glenn Hoddle, the families of the people that were caught up in the sad Leicester City helicopter crash yesterday, and to the families of the elderly Brighton fan who sadly tragically died at the Amex whilst cheering on his team to a 1-0 win over Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm just glad the coverage is over for the weekend and I can just sit down and just forget about football for a day or so. But we hopefully will be back with some League Cup action on Tuesday night. We'll be covering one of the most outstanding times from that one, so stick with us for that one. We'll choose that one for you. But until now, I just want to get myself away, chill out, and not worry about anything else. It's been a black day for football. It's been a black weekend for English football. It's been a black day not just for English football, but for football all over the world. The tragedy at Leicester has really hit home around the world, and our thoughts go out to those at Leicester City at this very sad moment in time. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. From me, JB. Take care. Bye bye.